Identity will likewise arise or will simultaneously arise alongside the obligation based on contract. But there's a very, very clear condition in order that that exception may come into play. That exception was discussed in Canco and in Air France. You can only treat an act which breaches a contract as likewise giving rise to an obligation based on base identity, and therefore opening the door for all the rules of base identities to come into play, despite the existence of a contract, only when the act which breached the contract would have also given rise to an obligation based on base identity, were it not for the existence of a contract. I.e., kung walang contract, base identity siya. Do you follow? The test was stated quite differently or a bit differently in Air France. An act which breaches the contract may itself be a tort. That was further clarified in PSBA, the case which involved the shooting by strangers inside a school. Supreme Court said we cannot treat the shooting by strangers of a student inside a school as an act which gives rise to a place identity on the part of the school, because that shooting, the laxity or the negligence of the school in allowing strangers to come into the school and shoot a student would only amount to a breach of contract. It was negligence undoubtedly, or it could be negligence on the part of the school, but there was nothing special. There is nothing special about that negligent act, or at least at that point, since the case reached the SC on a motion to dismiss, nothing had been established yet that would color or that would aggravate the negligence of the school in allowing a person with a gun to enter school premises. At that point, the Supreme Court was saying, well, at this point, we cannot say that there was something special in the breach by the school of its obligation to provide a safe learning environment for its students. So we cannot apply the exception formulated in Canco and in Air France. In PSBA, what the Supreme Court was saying, the liability, if any, of the school will be based primarily and exclusively on its contract. If there was no contract between the school and its students, then the school will not be liable. Because at that point, there was nothing yet, no evidence had yet been presented to the lower courts to establish that there was something more serious than simple negligence involved in PSBA. But the Supreme Court further explained that in Air France, the reason why it held that breach of contract or an act which breaches the contract may itself be a tort is because the act involved in Air France was animated, it was motivated by racism. Ousting a Filipino from a first-class seat on the belief that there was a white man who had better right to the seat. So take away from Canco, from Air France, from PSBA. Again, as a general rule, if there is a pre-existing contract between the parties, that precludes obligations based on base identities from likewise arising between the parties, as a general rule. Exception to that rule is when the circumstances in Canco, Air France, and as further explained in PSBA are present, i.e., if the act which breaches the contract would have itself been a tort had there been no contract. And what is an example of that, an act which breaches the contract that would likewise be a tort had no contract existed? An act which violates Article 21 of the Civil Code, according to the Supreme Court in PSBA. So clear, but there's an essential requirement for quasi-delicts under Article 2176 of the Civil Code, that is, that there must be no pre-existing contractual relationship between the parties. The problem here is that, as you've seen in the cases, the Supreme Court has largely ignored this requirement in more recent cases. And in cases like PSBA, are becoming more and more the exception rather than the rule. But the correct position is that the general rule is you cannot have a base identity if you're in Canco. You follow? And it's only when these exceptional circumstances are present, the exception provided in or formulated in Canco and in Air France is present, that it can also apply, or that a breach of contract will also give rise to a base identity. Do you follow? So there must be something more than the mere breach of a contract in order to allow the rules of base identities to come into play when we're in a situation where you already have existing contract between the parties. Do you follow? This will likely come out in, or a question based on this, or involving this, will likely come out in the midterms or in the finals, or the sign, one of these signs. Second element, damage sustained by the damage suffered by the plaintiff. Damage or damages suffered by the plaintiff. This is pretty obvious, right? It's pretty obvious to say, given a particular factual scenario, whether a plaintiff suffered damage or suffered damages. So later on, as we post midterms, we'll be getting into the different types of injury that may be sustained by the plaintiff and the different types of damages that the plaintiff may recover because of those injuries. However, you have to bear in mind that you have the case of Gelos. And in Gelos, and the reason why we look at Gelos, the case of Gelos, is because of the principle that one on whose behalf. If you're a plaintiff and you seek to recover damages on behalf of another person, you have to make sure that that person has acquired civil personality. So, one on whose behalf you seek to recover damages must have already acquired civil personality. So, a fetus that was never born and that was aborted, you cannot recover damages on behalf of that fetus. You can recover damages on your own behalf for the loss of the fetus. But on behalf of the fetus, you cannot recover any damages because the fetus never acquired civil personality. That's why in that case, it's very, very important to remember that the only item or the item of damages that was deleted there was the automatic award for death. Because later on, again, post midterms, we'll learn that in cases involving death arising from criminal cases or from breach of contract, there's an automatic award of damages. It's called civil indemnity for death. So in that case, in Gelos, that was what the Supreme Court deleted, that automatic award for death, for the death of the fetus. And the reason why the Supreme Court deleted that in the case filed by the father was because the Supreme Court said, well, you can't even say that the fetus died because the fetus never had civil personality. You can only recover that item of damages for the death of a person if the entity that died already acquired civil personality. But in Gelos, the fetus never acquired civil personality, so the parents or the father could not recover any damages on its behalf. However, the Supreme Court further said that the father could have recovered moral damages, except that the Supreme Court doubted the sincerity of the father, and claiming mental anguish, serious anxiety, emotional turmoil, etc. Because under the factual circumstances of the case, it appeared as if namimera lang si father. So the thing about damages that you have to remember is that insofar as the plaintiff is concerned, one, you can only recover damages on behalf of another, provided that that other person has already acquired civil personality. But of course, you can recover damages for your own injuries that you sustained to your person. But in cases where you want to recover damages on behalf of another, then you have to make sure that that other person has acquired civil personality. You follow? Next element, and this is a long one. Fault or negligence of the defendant or some other person for whose acts he must respond. Article 73 of the 1173, sorry. Article 1173 of the Civil Code is key. Why? Because 1173 of the Civil Code deals with and defines three key concepts insofar as the law on negligence, case identics is concerned. Because 1173 defines the concepts of fault, negligence, and diligence. So first one, let's take that element piece by piece. Fault or negligence. And here you have to look at 1173 of the Civil Code. Because 1173 of the Civil Code provides you with a statutory definition of fault or negligence. 1173 says that the fault or negligence of the obligator consists in the omission of that diligence which is required by the nature of the obligation and corresponds to the circumstances of the person's time and place. So statutorily, at least by virtue of the civil code, fault or negligence mean the same thing. Jurisprudentially, the story is slightly different. Why is the story slightly different? Because what is fault, according to Elcano? Fault involves intentional voluntary acts. So intentional voluntary acts, that's what you took away from Elcano, right? Intentional voluntary acts which amount to criminal offenses may also amount or be considered as quasi-delicts, provided again that there's a private defendant party and the private defendant party suffers damage. Negligence is different because negligence is negligence intentional and voluntary. Do you intend the outcome of negligence? No. The test for determining negligence, and it's a long test, so I won't write it anymore, is essentially, you remember, I think I already made this joke, but it's not huge. Or I made this comment already during one of this, or during one of our earlier classes. Alam mo yung WWJP bracelets, na nauso before, what would Jesus do? So, negligence is essentially like that also. Doing something which an ordinarily prudent person would not do, or failing to do something which an ordinarily prudent person would do. So what would an ordinarily prudent person do or not do? That is the test for determining negligence. The third concept dealt with in 1173 is diligence. And the second paragraph of 1173 provides that if the law or contract does not state diligence which is to be observed in the performance, then that which is expected in good conduct family shall be required. But then you know that that diligence required, that the default standard of diligence, i.e., ordinary diligence in good conduct family, is not the degree of diligence that is required in all situations. You know that a higher degree of diligence is required for certain entities, i.e., extraordinary diligence. And statutorily, again, by virtue of the statute, you know that there are only two entities thus far, or that we've taken up, that are statutorily required to observe extraordinary diligence: banks and common carriers. Jurisprudentially, you know that there's a third entity that's required to observe extraordinary diligence because its business is imbued with public interest, and therefore it is required to observe the same degree of diligence as common carriers, hotels. Are doctors required to observe extraordinary diligence? No. They're only required to observe ordinary diligence. However, or with a qualification, or with a caveat, that the ordinary diligence required of doctors is already a pretty high degree of diligence already because of their educational background, their training, etc. So, ordinary diligence for doctors are only required to observe ordinary diligence, but the ordinary diligence required of doctors is already comparatively or relatively high standard. But there are two things that we need to remember about these concepts, especially about the concept of negligence. The first one, and we saw this in Makati Shaft, the test of negligence is objective. Why is it objective? Because it measures negligence against what an ordinary prudent person would do. So the test is objective. The objective test is ordinary prudent person. But at the same time, the test of negligence is relative and comparative. Why is the test of negligence relative or comparative? Because what an ordinarily prudent person would do would depend and would be varied or would be dictated by the circumstances before him.